By January 10th, 1970, Biafra had only three airstrips left. No food was getting through, no weapons, no reinforcements. But what happened in the next 72 hours is what historians still argue about today. This is the real story of how the Nigerian Civil War ended and why Odumegwu fled in the middle of the night. When the war started in July 1967, Biafra shocked the world. A new nation carved out of southeastern Nigeria stood up to the federal government with almost nothing. For 2.5 years, they held on, but by late 1969, the situation was desperate. The Nigerian army had cut off Biafra's supply lines. The famous airstrip, Biafra's lifeline for food and weapons, was under constant attack. International aid was blocked, Red Cross flights were shut down, and in the towns and villages famine had set in. Children with swollen stomachs became the image the world remembered. Let's be clear about what Biafra looked like in January 1970. The territory has shrunk from 3,000 square miles to less than 2,000. The population was trapped in a small pocket around Owerri and Umuahia. Fuel was gone, vehicles were abandoned, the Biafran Air Force was reduced to a handful of small planes used for bombing raids and supply drops. And yet, the Biafran army was still fighting, not because they thought they could win militarily, but because surrender meant uncertainty. Would the Nigerian government grant amnesty, or would there be mass arrests and executions? This is the pressure Ojukwu and his commanders were under as January 10th began. On January 10th, Nigerian forces launched a final push towards Owerri. Owerri wasn't just another town, it was the seat of the Biafran government after Enugu fell. It housed the radio station, administrative offices, and the last functioning airstrips beside Ule. The attack came from two sides. Nigerian 3rd Marine Commando Division pushed from the south. 1st Division pushed from the north. Biafran resistance was fierce but short on ammunition. By evening, Owerri had fallen. With Owerri gone, Biafra lost its major urban center and its propaganda voice. Radio Biafra went silent. 2 days later, the focus shifted to Uli airstrip. Uli was everything. It was there where relief planes had landed at night, flying low to avoid radar. It was where foreign journalists sneaked in. It was proof that Biafra still existed to the outside world. Nigerian troops reached the perimeter of the airstrip on January 12th. Biafran engineers tried to sabotage the runway, but it was too late. The strip was captured. When Uli fell, the last door to the outside world slammed shut. On January 13th, Ojukwu called his cabinet. The message was simple: the war could not continue. That night, he left Umuahia in secret, flying out of a small strip in a small plane. His destination was Ivory Coast. He left behind Major General Philip Effiong, his chief of general staff, with orders to negotiate surrender. For many Biafrans, this was the moment hope died. Their leader was gone. On January 15th, 1970, General Effiong formally surrendered to General Olusegun Obasanjo in Lagos. The war was over. Nigeria declared no victor, no vanquished. But for Biafra, the cost was over 1 million dead, mostly from starvation. Ojukwu would spend 12 years in exile before returning to Nigeria in 1982. The question historians ask is this: could Biafra have held out longer if foreign aid had gotten through? Or was January 1970 inevitable once we failed? So that is how it ended, not with one big battle, but with 3 days that broke the back of a nation.